Hi Stampers, this is Susan Petty Baylor. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in West Hartford, Connecticut, and today I'm going to show you the February card kit that I've got set up, where there's going to be 2 each of 3 designs and 1 of 1 design. So you'll get 7 cards, supplies for 7 cards in total. And these are 3 of the cards. I'm going to show you the other one. Let's see, the new host code for February through March 16th is right here, and that will also be in the description below the video, along with all of the measurements and supplies that I use to make these cards. I'm using a retired designer series paper called Naturally Eclectic. I am using this because it's got some fun colors, and I thought that the designs were great for women and men. There's one designer paper that's a little more flowery than these, but for the most part, these are great for, like I said, men or women. There's only 12 days left of celebration. It ends on February 28th, 2021. That is Stampin' Up's annual sale. Actually, this year it's going to be twice. This is going to be, let's see, January and February. For every $50 that's purchased, you can choose a free item from the celebration catalog. I made all of these cards personally, birthday cards. I send out quite a few birthday cards. I have 4 that I need to send out just for next week. And I used this Peaceful Moments cling stamp set. This is a stamp set that I go to on a regular basis. It's got some great sentiments in here, and I like it because a lot of these fit in this tailored tag punch, which is another staple in my stamp room. I use this punch on a very frequent basis, and I like it for several reasons. I have a lot of different shapes and sizes of punches, of label punches, but this particular label I especially like because, again, like this designer series paper, it's great for guys or women, not terribly fancy or frilly or anything like that. And it's also really easy to label, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. The other thing that I really like about this punch, it's great for doing banner ends. So let's just pretend I have a sentiment on here, and I just put this in the top of the punch it, and I have a perfect banner tip. And this works with pretty much any size of cardstock. You can have something quite wide like this, or you can do the same thing with a very narrow piece, like so. So I find that is super convenient, and I love when I have supplies that do double duty. So this is basically the card that we're making. I started out with a piece of cardstock that was 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25, and then what I did was I cut off 1 inch from this edge. And that way I can put a narrow piece of designer series paper here and have a second piece of designer series paper here. So it showcases 2 pieces of designer series paper. Now some of this, a lot of these, you can use either side. You could do your card this way. You could make your card this way. This way. A lot of these are interchangeable. Let's see, these 2 I've already got glued down. As this one I do as well, but let me just grab some other pieces. Let me just show you, you can use this side and this side, or this side. I guess if I was going to do this one, I would do these two. So you have these two choices. This is the same designer series paper. You can do whichever side you like. If you want something a little bit less feminine and flowery, I would go with a stripe. If you are looking for something more flowery, then go with the flower side. The designer series paper is cut at 5 1/4 by 3 inches, and then this piece is 5 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. Again, I used the Happy Birthday from Peaceful Moments, and I stamped that on a tailor tag punch in Whisper White using Momento Tuxedo black ink. And then let me show you. What I did was I'm going to use this one. I took one of these tailor tag punches and cut it in half. And I put just a little bit of glue or tape runner, whichever adhesive you prefer, works perfectly fine. And I just line it up. You can leave as much or as little of a border as you like. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Ooh, that's way too much glue. That is going to gush out if I press it. So I'm not going to press it. So then, if when you're making this card, you have your tag kind of sticking out over the edge of the card. That's really moving around, sorry. If you adhered this tag, you would see the back. So if you're going to place the tag at the same place that I did, I've given you extra of these tags in your kits, and you're just going to glue this on the back so it covers up that ugly seam, like so. And then it will look nice from the back as well as from the front. The other thing you can do, if you don't want to be bothered with cutting, you could use 2 hole tag punches. Glue on the back. So you get the same effect. You have the border on either side, and then on the back side, it's not unattractive. That would be perfectly fine to put on your card front and have visible from the flip side. So I'm going to very quickly, so on this card, I did a linen thread bow. I feel like if you were going to do a bow, and it was a guy's card, if it was linen thread, I think you could get away with it, as opposed to some, frilly, lacy kind of ribbon. I'm going to very quickly put this one together because I want to show you a couple of possibilities with this Night of Navy Baker's twine that I've given you. And you would just want to line up the top and bottom edges so they're about the same, and have it even along that edge. This is your piece for inside. You can write on this, and actually what you could do is not glue it in here until you've written on it. That way, if you start to write a message and you've made a mistake, you can just flip it over and use the other side and then glue it down, and no one will know that there's anything written on the flip side. All right, so again, and I am going to use some dimensionals on this. Now remember, when you're gluing this down, if you're having it hang over the edge of your card, you don't want to have any adhesive or dimensionals over here, or your card will be glued shut. So take note where that's going to be. Obviously, if you're going to put it in the middle of your card, then you can put dimensionals or glue all over the back of it, whatever you like. But I like it kind of hanging off a little bit. Okay, we're good with that. So what I wanted to show you is I'm giving you about 20 inches of this Night of Navy thin baker's twine. And there are a couple things you can do. You can make a double or even a triple bow. And actually, you know, I say I'm giving you 20 inches. You're getting 40 inches because you'll have 2 of these cards to make. So you can just, you know, cut it in half. And when I do bows like this on the side of my card, I usually will put a glue dot right here to hold that so my hands are free to tie a bow. I'm not really coordinated when it comes to, well, that wasn't too bad. I usually struggle when it comes to tying bows, especially with baker's twine because it's so thin. So I find if I put just a little glue dot right under here, that holds the baker's twine in place. The other, whoops, sorry for the arm. The other cheat that I have, I'll let you in on a little secret. These are a pair of locking tweezers. I actually have another pair here. They're by EK Tools. My sister gave me a pair, and I bought another pair. You can get them. I've seen them at Michael's. Get them on Amazon. They're readily available. I think they're less than $5. Very reasonable. So I'm going to use this. What makes them locking is normally when you're squeezing a tweezer, when you squeeze it, the ends go together. But with this one, when you squeeze it, the ends open so that when you put that on there, it's locked. So it's like an extra pair of hands. So then I can tie my bow, and that's just way easier for me. And then obviously you could trim the ends. So if you don't want to, have the baker's twine on the side of your card like that, you could do a double bow like we did with the linen thread, or you've got enough that you could fold this over and do a triple bow. Okay, so I folded into 3. You can also fold it into 2 if you would prefer just doing 2 strands. So again, you're squeezing the knot and pulling on those ends. And then you have a cute Night of Navy bow that matches the Night of Navy in the both of the designer series papers. Okay, so there's that, and I think I gave you white baker's twine, enough to do a double loop, and then there's one more card that I have, and with this one I'm just going to lay it out for you. This is the only flowery one. Go like that, and then I have this little ribbon knot. I didn't give you enough to make a whole bow. It's a bulkier ribbon. You've got about 8 inches, and 4 inches is plenty of ribbon to just make a knot. And you can, if you're concerned about having enough, you can tie it first before you cut it. Tie one end and then the other end. And then you can cut in between the knots. And then you'll have two ribbon knots to use on your cards. So these are the 4 cards. You'll be making 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, and 1 of these. Okay, so those are the 4 cards for the February card class. Happy stamping!